Welcome, viewers. It's Mo from the Momentors Talkshow, a platform where I speak to leading women in ministry, business, politics, construction, finance. If you're that woman, then you want to become more and do more because guess what? You have capacity for more. Tune in every Tuesday at 3 p.m. on Sky 589, Faith World TV, where you'll get inspiration. From Momentous Talk Show, bye bye. Hello, viewers, and welcome to another special edition of the Momentous Talk Show for Leading Women. And on this platform, I talk to women who have been through some form of adversity in some ways, are in leading positions or are leading in their roles either through business, banking, finance, ministry, any area. I speak to those women on this platform. And in the studio today, I have had this lady before, but I'm so happy to introduce to you Mr. Lorraine.
Hello. Thank you for having me again.
Hello, Mr. Lorraine. And it's almost like when he says hello, I'm like, okay. So welcome to the show, Mr. Lorraine, yet again. Because we've had Mr. Lorraine before on the show, but this time it's an individual, one-to-one interaction. Welcome yet again.
Thank you.
Okay, so if you can tell us a bit more about who is Mr. Lorraine. Who is Mr. Lorraine? So as you can hear, I mean, obviously Mr. Lorraine, he's got, when he speaks, it's a she. She's a she. But tell us a bit more about Mr. Lorraine. Tell us about your background.
So Mr. Lorraine is a woman with a very deep voice.
Yes.
At the moment, I'm doing sort of like comedy. I do entertainment. Mm-hmm. So the whole Mr. Lorraine thing came about because of my voice. Mm-hmm. I think probably from my teens, my voice started getting a bit deeper. Mm-hmm. And deeper, and then coming to the UK, especially with the whole customer services over the phone.
Yes.
You're trying to make a call, trying to sort things out.
Yes.
People call you sir, or if you're having a conversation, they think you're a man.
Yes.
You try and explain that I'm actually a woman, but they don't believe you. They start arguing with you.
Yeah.
You tell them your name is Lorraine, they start calling you Mr. Lorraine.
Yes.
And then I just thought, you know what, I think the name has chosen me. So that's how I took the name Mr. Lorraine.
So really, when I was reading your bio, you said, for some people, destinies choose they choose their destinies, but for yourself,
mine was chosen.
It was chosen for you.
It was chosen.
I mean, how's that made you feel in the past? In terms of obviously you're telling me that from a young age you had this deeper voice. Going to school. How was it for you being in a school environment?
I think primary school was okay, but I think when I started high school, it was definitely my voice was a lot deeper. You get teased a lot. It's like speaking to the boys. If you say something, they would sort of like repeat it in a deeper voice, just trying to mimic the fact, that you've got a deep voice, or people were like, oh, Lorraine, you're the man, or Lorraine, you're one of the boys, that sort of thing. So I never really thought too much of it. You just kind of just coast along. But then obviously deep down, it does do something to you. And then later on, that's when the more it happens, the more you just start thinking, why is it this way, You wonder, why do I have this voice? And and you just have to try and kind of work your way around it. Yeah.
So do you find that, have you, I mean, obviously coming to the United Kingdom, did that affect at all, the people you probably play, like being a young person, I can imagine, girls would play with girls or boys did that affect you in that way at that time? How did you manage?
I think, I grew up with a lot of boys, like my cousins, my brothers, sort of like an only girl. So I used to play like football and all sorts, and probably dressed as a tomboy. So I think that voice kind of fitted with with how I was. But then obviously, like for me, deep down, I just think I'm a woman, 100%, that sort of thing. But then I think sometimes when you're going through certain situations, you kind of just close yourself in. You try and block things out and pretend that they don't bother you, they don't affect you. But then as you kind of go along, they actually sort of like do, and then there's certain situations where you become quite vulnerable, and you actually don't realize it. That's the thing.
So then you then decided to obviously start, sort of really taking, jokes, as people were saying, you're Mr. Lorraine, you're not a woman.
Exactly.
You kind of played along, really, didn't you?
Yeah, I played along. So, like, I used to, like, when I was still in Zimbabwe, I used to do, like, rapping and hip-hop. So, I guess the voice worked well. But then, every time, people would listen to what I done, they wouldn't believe it was me. They'd think, oh, who's this boy or
Yeah.
man who's sort of
Yeah.
like done it. And then in terms of the comedy,
Mm-hmm.
it was just a whole sort of like volume of incidents that have actually happened that a friend of mine was like, you know what, you should actually do stand-up comedy
Yeah.
with this
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
some of the things were beyond ridiculous. So I just started actually thinking, oh, you know what, I could actually do comedy. And because I had all these incidents, I was just writing everything down. There's just like more and more and more.
Yeah.
Seems
Yeah.
like, every time I picked up the phone,
Wow.
there was always something else that was going
Wow.
on. They're like,
Yeah.
okay, thank you
Yeah.
for that joke.
Yeah, so you kind of make jokes from things that have happened to you. Wow, that's really, it's really, for me, it's almost like I can see the vulnerability side of it,
Yeah, definitely, yeah.
but also how you've handled it. You've let it not let you down.
Exactly.
You've kind of really been able to bounce it back. Life gives you lemons, you make lemonade.
Lemonade, exactly.
Adversity breeds success.
Yeah,
Which is what this show is about. So, I'm really, really happy that you're where you are. So in terms of your career then, tell me a bit more. How's that coming up in terms of what sort of things are you doing? I know you're doing comedy, but what sort of, audiences are you pitching to and that kind of
So I think for me, I'm just trying to sort of like pitch to everyone, trying to be international. So I've done the Edinburgh Fringe Festival, which is, quite big. So I did that in 2018 and also 2019. So it's quite a massive stage. There's loads of people you can sort of like, pitch to, loads of people you can try and entertain.
Yeah.
And what I've sort of like wanted to do with my comedy, because I used to do like rap and hip hop,
Yeah.
so I've trying to merge everything together. And so I've also, like last year, I did a show called Emancipation. I'm actually wearing the shirt.
yeah,
So it was like a
Emancipation,
one woman sort of like show where I combined sketch comedy.
Wow.
About some of the incidents that have
Yeah.
happened. I made them into like a sketch comedy,
Yeah.
and then part of the rapping also
Yeah.
comes into play in that sort of in that show. So I was really sort of like pleased with that. But it takes a lot of out of you, and you need to do quite a lot of research. You need to be doing quite a lot of work trying to get the whole show together.
Yes.
Especially doing it on your own and trying to navigate the waters is not. It's not very easy.
It's not the
Yeah.
easiest. And I know some of my guests have come on here and said they started something from scratch, and it's really about building that network.
Exactly. That's the
there's
thing.
someone out there who's going to want your service or your product or what you have to offer. It's really being in the right place at the right time.
Exactly.
And being intentional about it. And,
Yeah.
and I think part of it is you coming on here to tell the world,
Precisely.
about
That's the
Lorraine.
thing. That's the thing. That's the thing.
Absolutely amazing. So, I mean, I know you told, when I was reading your bio, you're married and you've got children.
Yeah. I've got children. I've got
Okay.
a husband.
Wow, your husband. Okay, so, tell me a bit more. So, in terms of, is it your husband from when you're young, or how long have you been married?
So I've been married for close to 20 years now.
Amazing.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
Oh, what does your husband think about your voice?
So my husband knew me when I had this voice, and it never seemed to deter him.
Wow, amazing.
Yeah. So he always knew me
Wow.
as Lorraine with
Yeah.
the deep voice. So,
Wow, amazing.
Yeah.
And I think this is so special to know that somebody really loves you for
Exactly,
who you are.
that's
And I
the
think
thing.
there can't be any better love.
That's
to
the
that,
thing,
really
that's the
being
thing.
accepted for who you are. I think that's really special.
That's really
So,
special. So I consider myself to be blessed.
You are.
As far as that is concerned. And when I started doing the comedy, he's been very sort of supportive, because it takes quite a lot. Sometimes I have to be in odd places at odd hours.
Yeah.
The children need taking care of, they need
Yeah.
feeding.
Wow.
So I don't have to worry. When I get home, I've got a plate ready
Yeah.
for me.
Yeah.
So, I'm really, really blessed.
Amazing.
I'm taken good
Amazing.
care of.
Wow.
Can't complain.
Well, big shout out to your husband, Mr. Chidemu.
No, it's Mr. Ziwa. So Mr. Derek Ziwa.
Mr. Ziwa. So big hashtag, just love and hearts for Mr. Lorraine's husband, and thank you for being that man who has carried her and her giftings. And sometimes that's what it's about. It's about men realizing, or your partner realizing, the gift in you, and in as much as they can water it, then you will flourish and become,
Exactly.
more beautiful than anybody has ever been.
No, that's the thing.
So
That's so true.
Thank you so much. So, on this occasion, I'm just going to take a short break. And when I come back on the next episode, I want to be able to talk to Mr. Lorraine a bit more about her comedy work. And she'll be able to give us some work
Exactly.
Some skits probably. So stay tuned and we'll catch you later. Welcome, viewers. It's Mo from the Momentors Talkshow, a platform where I speak to leading women in ministry, business, politics, construction, finance. If you're that woman, then you want to become more and do more, because guess what? You have capacity for more. Tune in every Tuesday at 3 p.m. on Sky 589, Faith World TV, where you'll get inspiration. From Momentors Talkshow, bye-bye. Welcome to the second part of the Momentous Talk Show for Leading Women. And in the studio today, I have a special lady with a special gifting who has a man's voice, but is actually a woman. So she's a man. She's got a man's voice, but is actually a woman. Married with children. She's been married over 20 years now. Is it over 20 years? She's been married and very happily married. So welcome again to the studio.
Thank you.
Thank you. So if you're watching, viewers, and you would like to speak to Mr. Lorraine, please do call the number on the screen, and Mr. Lorraine will be more than happy to talk to you or answer any questions that you have. But in the meantime, I will go ahead to ask the questions. Mr. Lorraine, tell me, in terms of the shows and the comedy, because you were talking about how now you're doing comedy, you've been on the Emancipation show, you've been to Edinburgh, how can people book you?
So,
for the shows? How can people get hold of you?
So I'm on all social media platforms. On Instagram, if you, Mr. Lorraine 1, Facebook, Mr. Lorraine. If you go on Facebook, my name is Lorraine Chadimunu, so I'm there on all social media platforms. So I've also got a website, actually, www.mrlorraine.com.
Wow.
So Mr. is just MR and then Lorraine.com.
With a 1 R.
Yeah, with 1 R. Yeah.
1 R. Okay. So you've heard for yourself, mrlorraine.com.
Yeah, that's my website.
Or Instagram,
Facebook, everywhere. Yeah. Twitter, I'm there.
And I'm gonna dare you to do to do one or few jokes because I want the viewers to be able to. I've heard them, so I know they're very funny. But I just asked you to give us a couple, so we can just have a taste of what Mr. Lorraine is able to do.
Okay, so
you got the floor.
So yours. I've got the floor. So the other day I was arguing with someone. I was trying to get an account sorted, so they kept asking me questions, kept arguing with me. So I answered all their questions, and then finally they thought they would catch me. So this man was like, okay, just tell me one thing. How are you related to Lorraine? So for a moment I had to think, how am I related to myself? So for a moment Lorraine seemed like a distant relative of mine, and I had to think. So I was like, Lorraine, she lives in my house. Lorraine eats my food. And Lorraine is also sleeping with my husband.
Wow.
So I know Lorraine.
Did you get angry at that point then?
No, unfortunately, I have to keep my cool. Yeah. So like with customer services, there's always this thing, if you become angry and you shout at them, then they've got something against you. So exactly. Unfortunately, I have to keep my cool. But then afterwards, sometimes I do break down. I must admit, sometimes I've actually been, left to tears and... Sometimes my husband's then is just wondering, why are you allowing these people, to do this to you? So, can you sue them, etc., etc. But then with the little that I've searched, there's not much that you can actually do. I mean, if somebody had made a sexual remark or had made a racist remark, then it's quite easy to kind of follow, certain legal route. But for this, it's a bit,
it's really about your voice, but there's some sort of discriminatory behavior or assumption in
exactly.
That,
that's
really,
the thing. That's the thing.
So,
like for me, I mean, for example, like with one bank, my main issue is that I appreciate my voice is deep. And we have had so many conversations, and through those conversations, they have reassured me that, okay, we'll put a note on your account so that whoever you speak to next will know that, you are Lorraine, you've got a deep voice. And then what happens when I call, the phone call goes to another country, and those people don't have access to that information. So I'm back at square one. being, frustrated, being humiliated, and those people don't even comprehend what they're doing to me, which really just makes me wonder what happens in customer service, that sort of thing.
So I'm just wondering if anyone's watching out there in the legal sector who can maybe reach out to Mr. Lorraine to see how we can best tackle this. Really.
Exactly, yeah.
There's got to be a solution. I'm a solution-orientated type of person.
I am looking for one.
Yeah, I think that would be really nice.
With a few zeros at the end of them.
So if you do know somebody, or you think you may be able to help Mr. Lorraine to get some kind of solution to this long-standing problem, really.
Exactly.
It's not a problem for you, but it's for them.
Sometimes it's a problem for me, because if it's something important that you want resolved and sorted, then you're there to do something important and get it over and done with. But then you end up frustrated and all sorts of nonsense you get told, which is really unbelievable.
How many times can you lose your call?
Exactly.
I must say, I should see that patience is one of your greatest strengths, because you have to be really patient.
I have to be. I have to be. Like I said, if I start arguing with them, then all they can say, I'm an angry customer, etc., etc. But because I keep my cool, so even if they were to listen back to the phone call or whatever, there's no point that they'll hear me shouting at anyone. I just have to keep my cool. But then that takes, I lose something out of that keeping cool. It's as though people can just can just walk all over me, that sort of thing. So sometimes I'm so upset. I'm thinking, at the end of this conversation, I'm going to start emailing. I'm going to make a complaint, and then at the end of that, I just think, what's the point? What am I going to get out of it? So those are the things that I struggle with sometimes as well, really.
So where do we see Mr. Lorraine going in the next? What are sort of your aspirations? I know you talked about rap and wanting to combine that. Can we expect a record coming out? Can we expect something coming out?
So for the past probably 2 decades, I've been always telling myself that I will, do an album. But the Mr. Lorraine album is on its way. I've got actually probably 4 or 5 tracks that I've kind of put aside. So I thought, you only live once, so you might as well do everything that you can do and make the most of it. And also I'm hoping to kind of do a tour of my one-woman show as well. So just trying to get professional input, like directors, so that it's because everything I've done is just myself, what I've thought would work, etc., and a few friends and family giving me some feedback. But what I'd want is actually get a professional, in the theatre sort of industry and make it really work, because I think it's a good show and it's got a message to it, really, about how, we make assumptions about people, we make decisions based on those assumptions and how it affects people. So I think, the show would go well. So I'm just trying to work and get input. So that's what I'm working on now.
Wow. And, if I had to give you a magic wand and say, what is it that you're looking for right now? We've got the viewers watching, we've got the world watching us, and, you may have that investor who's looking and thinking, you know what, I can put money on that. And, what is it that you're looking for? So are you looking for a producer? Are you looking for a team? What in your own
So I'm looking for a producer to work with.
Okay.
Because I've got the material I've worked on and it really works. But then if you've got somebody professional you're working with, then it kind of widens your audience. So, for example, at Edinburgh, my show, people really loved it. But then sometimes, some nights you struggle to get audience because there's 1,000,001 shows going on. So sometimes you've got 2 people, 3 people. Sometimes you've got a full house. So that's the thing. But then if you've got a good product, then you want as many people as you can to, watch the show. So that's what I'm hoping to do.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, what I always believe, I believe in networking, and I know that somebody who's watching knows someone who knows someone who knows somebody who knows who you need. So, that's how it goes, and you're always really an arm's length away from your next breakthrough.
That's so true.
So I certainly believe I'll take it upon myself as well to do some homework.
Thank you very much
but,
for that.
So viewers, if you're watching, this is Mr. Lorraine, and we're talking to a woman who was born with a man's voice, and yet she's a woman, and she's suffered so much humiliation, suffered so much adversity from having been born with a man's voice. But what Mr. Lorraine is saying that to the world is that she is not going to back down. She's not going to allow the fact that she was born with a man's voice to stop her from being who she needs to be.
Exactly.
And the good thing is she's married to a man. She's happy and she's got children.
I got children.
So she's just like me, but she's just got a different voice. And that's all there is to it. So viewers, if you're watching, I'm speaking to Mr. Lorraine, and I did say to her that I am going to challenge her to give us some of the rap song, just us on the rap type.
A little bit of the rap.
Of the
Okay,
rap.
yeah,
Yes,
yeah. No, that's. I'll
go
give you
ahead.
just a few lines. I'm still searching for a place to pour the content of my soul. Watch my cup overflow with words untold. If silence was really gold, I'd have more than I can stock. But if the truth be told, I actually feel robbed of my freedom of expression. I ain't got no rights in a heated situation. I wouldn't survive. These emotions grab a hold of me. I start to choke, even tears fill my eyes for reasons unknown. I did things I don't want found out about me. That made me think I'll be transparent if I started to speak. So I blend with the background. I'm not here. You can even hear the sound of a pin drop. When will I tell it like it is? When will I say it like how I believe? I beg you, you need to hold on, please. Let me deal with my demons before you ask my opinion. Or I only tell you what you want to be hearing, so hear me out.
Woohoo!
Thank you.
Big it up, big it up, big it up. Absolutely amazing, guys. And that was beautiful.
Thank you.
It
Thank
took
you.
me back to the days in the 90s.
Exactly.
I don't know if you're
That's
born
the
in
thing.
the 90s.
90s, man. That's that 90s
Biggie
music, man.
Smalls, Tupac, all
That's
those
where we
people.
used to be, and we stay there.
Warren G.
That's the best time. That's the best
Oh
music
yes,
ever.
of course,
It doesn't
and it
compare
did
to these
inspire
days.
us to do
Exactly.
more and to become more, didn't it? So
That's the thing.
I'm glad to really see you, kind of really rhyming. And if you're listening, viewers, that was absolutely amazing.
Thank you so much.
So tell me, what is it that the audience doesn't possibly know about you? What's the most daring thing that you've ever done in your life? If you had to share it with the world, what's the most daring thing that you've ever done, or something that I don't know about you that's not in your bio?
Well, I once auditioned for the X Factor.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. That's beautiful, actually.
And I actually got a call back, but then I took myself
Wow.
out of going back.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, you see. So what stopped you from going through? What do you think? I mean, when you got the call, do you think, oh sugar, I don't deserve this, or what went through your mind at that
I
time?
think it's just the whole. Sometimes we sabotage ourselves and we start talking ourselves out of it, and we justify why we shouldn't be on that platform, why we shouldn't do what we're doing.
Yeah.
And just that doubt and lack of self belief.
Yeah.
And those like 2006, I think Leona Lewis won, so maybe I did myself a favor.
Wow.
But the thing is, I think now I'm in a better position where I take every opportunity, that comes, and having done a lot of like reading and just like NLP stuff, that's really that really just like helped me. Exactly, that's the thing. So if I'd done NLP, then I would have definitely just gone and taken it from Leona Lewis.
And do you know what I always say, Mr. Lorraine? What's the worst that could happen?
Exactly.
What's the worst that could happen?
That's the thing.
At the end of the day, you do it, it doesn't work. So what?
That's
it's not
thing.
A train smash.
I think that's the thing. A lot of the times we worry so much about failing and not doing well.
Exactly.
So I mean, for example, when I started comedy, I mean, fortunately, my first comedy gig, I sort of like won. I was the comedian of the night. That was the first time. But then the third time I did it, it didn't work so well. And then you have to kind of go back to the drawing board and think, okay, what actually didn't work? And sometimes, the audience varies, but if you just let that dictate, just because it didn't work well today means it's not going to work well, for the rest of your life, then you're not going to do anything. Exactly.
When you think about the athletes and the amount of practice they have to
Precisely,
do,
that's the
amount,
thing.
the amount of exercise they have to do, discipline, failing, and they still have to practice and practice until they get to actually the winning stage. And I think for me, that's my internal motivation. That's
exactly,
that's
the thing.
It's always like, what's the worst that could happen?
And that's the thing. Nothing will ever come, overnight. You just have to work.
It's work in progress, and failing forward.
Exactly.
Failing forward, and if you did fail, then you learn from it and you move on.
Forward, exactly, and get feedback, and then you just think about what can I do to make it better. That's all you have to do. That's all you have to do.
Correct. So, what do you have to say to the viewers today? So we may have some viewers who are watching, and someone may be going through a really bad time through either they were born with a certain, maybe not necessarily a voice, tone, but maybe a disability. We know that in this country, bullying for young people is very, very common. What can you say to a young person, a young female who may be experiencing this kind of a thing? What would you say to them?
I think for me, I always now just think I was born, I was put here for a reason. I was given this voice, you know, for a reason, and because people may see it another way, it doesn't really shouldn't really stop me. So we shouldn't be stopped from being who we are, and we should just learn to really just love ourselves. You know, loving just starts from loving ourselves. People's opinions, they will differ. Today somebody may love you, tomorrow they'll hate you, but that doesn't change who you are. So you just have to learn to just love yourself wherever you are. You know, loving yourself is the best thing that you can ever do. People will change, you'll meet different people in your life as you go on, but you should just remain the same person,
because
you know.
you love yourself and you identify with who you are.
Exactly.
And your purpose as well.
Exactly.
Isn't it? Like
That's
you said rightfully before, you've got a purpose, and he said, then maybe speaking to these people as well, young people, you've got a message for the world. So, how do people move forward? You love yourself as you are.
Exactly.
And then people can love you and accept you because you already have loved yourself. So thank you again, viewers. Thank you, Mr. Lorraine.
Thank you so much for having me.
Joining me on the show yet
it.
again. Do I do that one, or shall I do?
We can do that.
Thank you so much for having me on
great.
the show.
I really
and
love
for myself, Mo, thank you so much for watching the Momentors Talkshow for Leading Women, and we are live every Tuesday at 3 p.m. on Sky 589. Faithful TV. If you're watching a playback, do go back to our YouTube channel, Momentors Talkshow, and please do not forget to hit that S button for subscribe, follow our shows. Until next time, thank you, bye for now. Welcome viewers, it's Mo from the Momentous Talk Show, a platform where I speak to leading women in ministry, business, politics, construction, finance. If you're that woman, then you want to become more and do more, because guess what? You have capacity for more. Tune in every Tuesday at 3 p.m. on Sky 589, Faith World TV, where you'll get inspiration. From Momentous Talk Show, bye-bye.